I'm an alcoholic. My name is Jesse.
Jesse.
I want to thank Louis for asking me to come out. Thank you very much. Welcome to the newcomers. Congratulations to the chip takers. And happy birthday to the other birthday boy. I celebrated my 37th year last week, and it's hard to. I remember how hard it was, what a big deal it was to take my 30 days. I remember that. I remember thinking that something significant had happened, something clicked in my life like nothing ever had before. So at 30 days after I took my chip, I went out that night and celebrated and got drunk. And then at 60 days after coming back, I did the same thing. And then at 90 days, I did the same thing. And by the time I came back after that third time out, I realized that I just didn't know what I was doing, man. I wanted so bad for you to think I knew what I was doing. Like you guys look like you know what you're doing in here, right? I wanted to be one of those guys, right? And I didn't have a clue. And what worked for me is that I just kept coming back. But I remember early on, one of my prayers early on, I remember and I had spent a few years studying scripture. I was, because of the way that I live, my lifestyle, I had a lot of opportunity to do a lot of reading. And, so I spent a few years studying scripture. And so I thought I knew a little bit about God and about, that stuff. But I remember that early on in sobriety, I remember getting on my knees and just saying, I don't know. I just don't know. And the reason I share that today is because that seems to be the best place that I can be in my recovery. From June 15th of 1985 up to today, the best place that I can find myself in is in a place of me knowing that I don't know. And it allows the opportunity for this program to work in my life, and it allows the God to do what the God does in my life and the process to happen for me. And that's what it's been for me. And so it's important for me to remember, I was, I'm an alcoholic, which means that my favorite drink or drug was whatever was on the table, and I did it like a pig, all of it, and my favorite was all of it, right? Anything to check out was my favorite. And so, coming into Alcoholics Anonymous, I didn't know, I got sober at 24. I'm 61 years old, and I got sober at 24. So, and I started at 10. So I didn't know a lot about anything. The only thing I knew how to do was go out there and make money and stay loaded, stay drunk, So, today, on the difference today, it's good to be, this is the 5th physical meeting I've been in the last 2 years, right? I've been Zooming, right? And so I'm responsible for my father today, who's 93 years old, and I take care of him. I'm a stage 3 Hep C survivor. I buried my brother during COVID, who was 52 years old, and he died of COVID. The fentanyl didn't hurt either, right? Like, they couldn't decide on what the cause of death was. But, I buried my sister to this thing about 20 years ago, and a lot of people, right? You stay around here for a while, and you get to watch people go out and do what this thing does, right? I'm a blessed man. There's times, I know I'm a blessed man. I have the best life I could have ever imagined in Alcoholics Anonymous. There's nothing that's happened to me in Alcoholics Anonymous that I ever could have, not even a piece of this I could have done for myself out there with what I was working with. Nothing. And today, I just celebrated another year sober. May 21st, I got married for the 3rd time. So it's my life is full. I got 5 kids and 10 grandkids. I'm an active grandfather, an active father. I just gave up a business after 34 years of being self-employed, and I decided to go work for somebody and actually work for a living. That's interesting. It's like everything that I have in my life is good. I just don't always think so all the time, right? My head goes south. It does what it does, but I have a great life. I have a really, really good life. And the fact is if I would have continued to do what I was doing before Alcoholics Anonymous happened in my life, I know where I would be. And it's only those three things, right? I'd be in prison, I'd be dead, or I'd be in a nut ward. It's not hard to figure it out. You know, I was living one day at a time before I got sober because I was waiting for somebody to punch my ticket, right? Or I was waiting for something to happen because that's what was happening to the people around me, you know. And so I had no desire to stay sober when I got here. I can't see. I had no desire. Getting sober, when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous the first time, which was 1978, I looked around the room and I was really happy for you guys and I thought AA was great. But getting sober didn't look like a good idea in 1978, and in 1985 when I got sober it didn't look like a good idea. But I was running out of options, right? I mean, I didn't have a lot to work with anymore. I had just got out and I was getting ready to, you know, I drove over here and I saw the Mount Wilson up there, the antennas. I remember when I was in fire camp, I was working up there in Henniger Flats, the little forestry up there. And I remember flying from Mount Wilson to Azusa Canyon to do some cold trails, cut down some bushes, you know. And I was thinking, man, the good old days, right? You know, it's like, I remember how fun it was and getting healthy and doing all that stuff. And then, yeah, you know, it's like, you know, my life is real simple today. My life is real, stuff happens, right? Stuff happens, life happens. And because of the people I'm around, the God I have in my life and the program I have going on, you know, I don't get knocked down too much. Over too much of anything. You know, the worst has happened already. You know, I had a grandson who was 17 months old that was murdered, you know, a few years ago, and that was hard. I had a best friend murdered. You know, just all this stuff, right? The life goes on, right? And you know, I don't think about getting loaded. I don't think about, when stuff happens, I never think about getting loaded or taking a drink. When the wind changes, my head goes south, right? I mean, it doesn't take like a big deal, right? My head does what it does no matter what. So what I've learned to do is, you know, I was racing to get over here and it looked like I was almost going to call and cancel. And I remember thinking of all the years I went to meetings in my work clothes, you know. I do remodels and I'm in my paint clothes and I do, you know, all this stuff. And I went to meetings for years like that. And I thought, man, I got to get home. I got to eat real quick, and I got to shower, and I got to, and all this stuff. I remember thinking, and then I caught myself like, you know, that thing about it just doesn't matter, man. You know, you just keep on driving, get to where you got to go. If you're going to make it home, go home. If not, just go straight to the meeting. That's all. That's all it is. It's not a big deal. I never was too tired to get drunk. I was never too dirty to get drunk. I was never too hungry to get drunk, or nothing, right? I never, just because I wasn't in the mood to get, I was never not in the mood to get drunk. You know, I just wasn't. So I was told to kind of try and do this thing the same way. Try and do this thing the same way. And that's what I've attempted to do. Even though I've missed the mark a lot of times, you know, I still show up. Even though I've made a lot of mistakes, I still show up. A lot of stuff happens, I still show up. And the fact is I haven't had to get loaded or drunk or loaded over any of it, you know. And that's still, I was telling Louis before the meeting, you know, I'm always impressed about what Alcoholics Anonymous does with me. I'm not so much impressed about what I do here, but I'm impressed with what Alcoholics Anonymous does with me. Because I know what it's working with, right? I know what it's working with. So for me to show up and for me to be excited about being here and be enthusiastic about being here, you know, really wanting to be here on a regular basis, you know, that's all a blessing to me, man. That's all a gift for me, all of it. I have the greatest life. Even though I got asked to eulogize my brother, I got asked to eulogize my sister. Every time I take a cake, I think about those people that, and I'll share this and then I'll cut it short. You know, my sponsor taught me this thing about, you know, be careful of where the credit goes for your recovery. You know, he says, but don't ever forget that it's important that you do say yes to this thing, right? You know, and that's really where it starts for me, is I just got to say yes to it, and then it starts to open up. I'm not really confused about what I'm supposed to be doing around here. I'm really not, you know. It's this thing about you keep showing up. It's about this thing about keeping God in the mix, and it's about this thing about don't drink or use no matter what. And then the rest kind of just gets figured out. It just gets figured out, you know, all of it. And man, I'm so glad to be sober. I love my life today. I love all of it, you know. Even the stuff that doesn't feel good, I love all of it, man. You know, because I know one more of anything, I could have missed it all. One more of anything, I could have missed it all. Thank you guys for being here for me. Thank you.